Commissioner Winmiller, we are live on Facebook. It's 8:30 and we're ready to proceed when you are.
Thank you, Brenda. Good morning.
Great.
I'd like to call the Special Board of Commissioners meeting to order today on Friday, January 22nd at 8:30 a.m. Myra, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Winmiller,
Present.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Here.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Simmons,
Here.
Commissioner Costello,
Present.
Commissioner Cox,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Galladay,
Here.
Commissioner Gladney,
Here.
Commissioner Beach.
Here.
It appears we have a quorum, so we'll begin. I call your attention to the third item on the agenda, which is the intergovernmental agreement between the City of St. Louis and Bi-State Development, Resolution 1107. In your packet, you received additional information which was requested at last week's board meeting, a briefing paper, the resolution itself, and a copy of the MOA. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica Mefford-Miller so she can describe in detail what we're discussing and voting on today.
Good morning, Commissioners. This item follows up on discussion we had at our meeting last week on January 14th. On that date, it was requested that staff provide an estimate of the personnel time and cost associated with the North Side South Side Corridor Technological Alternatives Analysis. We have provided that estimate in the content presented to you today. We have estimated that the staff time associated with the North Side South Side AA is not to exceed $29,865. As a reminder, this is a planning study. We will revisit an array of technological alternatives and begin conceptual design. This project will not include complete design or any construction. As such, staff time associated with the effort primarily includes coordinating meetings between consultants and stakeholders, engaging in conversations and collaboration with key stakeholders, and reviewing consultant products, including preliminary design concepts, ridership projections, financial strategies, and conceptual design. Are there any questions I may answer today?
Follow up from last week's meeting. I was the one that requested this information, and I sent Talby a message late last night. My only concern at that time, and which was still now, and I think Jessica's just answered that, is that when we are doing work for any of the entities, whether it be St. Louis County, St. Louis City, or St. Clair County, I just want to know that we're all on the same level, equal playing field, that if we are expending expenses, I just want to make sure those entities are reimbursing the district for that.
Yeah, and it is common practice, Commissioner, for staff to track their time associated with capital projects.
Fine, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I just want to express my appreciation both to the commissioners, particularly Commissioner Simmons, who brought to our attention that, occasionally we need more detailed information prior to voting on MOUs or MOAs, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that the staff was able to provide that information in a really timely manner, and we can now move forward. So if I hear no other questions or comments, I would ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Myra, do we need a roll call vote?
No, we do not.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. If there's no further business, I would request a motion to adjourn to the regular meeting.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Is there Again, I think we can do this by voice vote.
Correct.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. We will now adjourn to the regular committee meetings, and I will turn things over in a few minutes to Commissioner Zimmerman. Thanks very much.
We're now ready. Thanks for your patience.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. And I would like to call the Friday, January 22nd, 2021 Audit, Finance, and Administration Committee meeting to order. Myra, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Here.
Commissioner Costello,
Present.
Commissioner Simmons,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Winmiller,
Present.
Commissioner Cox,
Here.
Commissioner Brown, I believe you're muted.
Here, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Galladay, Commissioner Beach,
Here.
Commissioner Gladney.
Here.
Have we received any public comments or speaker cards for this meeting?
No, there were no public comments submitted.
All right, we'll move right into our agenda items this morning. And the first one is going to be the approval of the minutes of the October 16th, 2020 combined OPS and AFA committee open meeting. You all should have copies of the meeting minutes. Do we have any comments or proposed revisions on those minutes? Hearing none, would anyone like to move to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from that meeting, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Yeah, I'll abstain. I was not a commissioner at the time.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Agenda item number 5 is the IAD status report from our second quarter of fiscal year 2021, and I'll turn it over to Crystal Mesner for comments on this.
Commissioners. Can everyone hear me okay? Good morning, commissioners. Thank you. This is my first official committee meeting, so I'm very glad to be here. All of my status reports and SSO audit reports, and also the Treasury safekeeping accounts audit, those are all informational. Did anyone have any questions or concerns over those? Thank you.
All right, as Crystal pointed out, a lot of these are informational only. So unless anybody has any specific questions or comments, I'm going to move on to the next status report, just so we check off all the agenda items. Agenda item number 6 is the IAD SSO status report, and that is for the fourth quarter of the calendar year 2020. Again, Crystal, do you have any, comments on this before we turn it over to the board? Okay, does anybody have any questions for Crystal about agenda item number 6? All right, hearing none, again, this is informational only, a lot of reports today. Agenda item number 7, the Treasury safekeeping accounts audit ending September 30th, 2020. And this is Crystal's topic as well. Crystal, do you have any updates on this? Oh, hold on, you're muted. I think you're muted.
Hi.
All right, there we go. There we go. All right, number 7, the Treasury safekeeping accounts audit.
No, I do not have any additional comments.
Okay.
I'm having trouble hearing her.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now okay?
That's better.
Okay, I apologize. Technology is great as long as it works, right? Does anyone have any questions for 6 or 7 for me? I apologize for the muting. Okay, thank you.
Everybody had a chance to ask. So. All right, so we covered 6 and 7. Let's move on to 8 then. Quarterly financial statement, the first quarter ending September 30th, 2020. And this is for Tammy Fulbright. Tammy, do you have any updates on this?
Yes, good morning. I might just go through a few of the items this morning just to give you an update. I know the reports are included, but just the highlights. So at September 30th, BSD combined loss before depreciation was 3.6 million, and that included all the enterprises plus the internal service funds. Primarily, this is due to losses in revenue due to COVID in the transit enterprise, and we know that we'll be receiving reimbursement for that. Other enterprises are also suffering losses, but during this time, the Arch ridership resumed in September, so they were starting to pick up revenue. They were still at a loss after depreciation of 1.2 million. For the riverboat attractions, their loss after depreciation was approximately 296,000. And when you compare it to last year, so you can really see the impact on COVID is having, is they're down about 75% in passengers. When we look at the airport loss, they were at about 450,000 after depreciation. And that was largely impacted by the fire that they had in the prior year. So they had additional expense of about 175,000. And in addition, the agency or executive services was at a loss of about 273,000. And that was primarily due to the reduction in activity at the Arch and their administration fees and management fees from the National Park Service. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. It may be more appropriate to Talbot, but I'll just ask it. With respect to the river boats and the losses there, I'm assuming given their shutdown, is my understanding, the first quarter, we're probably going to see similarly pretty significant losses. I guess, what's our best case scenario ETA for resumption of some level of service, or kind of the status on that?
Sure. So some of this is going to go into some of the reporting, but obviously what we're moving into now is what is our new budget associated with FY22, and scheduling some of the inevitable support that we're going to have through the CRISA funds. And the board also instructed me, as of our last briefing specific to the riverboats, to solicit support or not support from our elected officials associated with moving into FY22 budget. Because the long and the short of it, period, is that, as you know, as reflected in our last report, that the riverboats tend to be a loss leader. Okay, and we need to confront the policy decision of whether they are an enterprise that will continue to support. And it's now obviously affected by the pandemic. So all of those, I'm trying to bring those into a more cogent policy decision. I will be coming back to this board as to the reaction of each of our policy leaders about that, including, of course, Chairman Kern, Mayor Cruzen, and Sam Page. And it's going to be obviously a difficult conversation. So I'm trying to bring that to a decision point, and I expect to come to this board likely in February with an update status on that.
Okay, I guess we can just revisit it then. That's fine. I knew it's kind of all being evaluated, and we're trying to make the best situation of it we can. So thanks. Any other questions for Tammy?
I have a question. Tammy, you indicated that the loss on Metro in particular, we expect will be reimbursed with federal funds.
Yes. Yes.
How much of that loss?
So at that point, we had reimbursed 4.5 million, but as of through November, I know we're closer to about 16 million that we've already asked for funding for.
And the current loss right now is in the neighborhood of 21.5 million.
That, I think that's the number after depreciation. Is that, yeah, so we're looking at before depreciation, because generally with transit, we look at it that way because we know we'll get FTA funding generally to support our capital projects. So we mainly, for transit only, we stay before the depreciation line. So that's where we're really trying to get a reimbursement for CARES, any losses that we're currently seeing.
Thank you. So just one more quick question. Do you anticipate with federal funding from COVID response, whether it's previous, now, or in the future, can you give me an estimate of whether or not you think we are going to break even or come close this year?
Yes, we should be able to use CARES funding to cover our losses this year and into next year.
That's pretty good. I wish we could get it every year.
Yeah.
So I can, Chair, if I may, we are tracking what we're pulling down on CARES, and we are on the schedule that we presented to the board. But since we are now moving into the second tranche, which is now referred to as CRISA, okay? That means that we will be due another roughly $68 million. Now that includes some dollars that have to go to Madison County, but we will be putting it through the same kind of formula. The objective being to stabilize our recovery, and I can do a more thorough report in partnership with Tammy to be sure that we are tracking and where we are. The news is good in that we have not used all of CARES, and we will have some residual to push into the next fiscal. And of course, that's the objective.
I have a question. It kind of follows up on Mr. Zimmerman's question, but it's overall, during the pandemic in the last year, has any of our assets profited, or have all the assets been in the hole?
They're generally coming in at a loss.
Let me ask you this. Before the pandemic, which assets do we have that actually profit for the public?
So generally the arch is very profitable, but generally we're not, we're breaking even is how we're coming in on the other agencies, especially our enterprises, especially related to transit.
That's kind of what I thought. And moving forward, because it sounds like this is kind of coming to a head with the riverboat and certain things in February, I'd like to know before COVID how it was doing. All right. And also, as far as our other assets, how it performs percentage-wise to those other assets as well. Because I think that will make the choice a little easier for me, at least.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else have any other comments or questions for Tammy about agenda item number 8? All right, well, again, this is informational only, no votes required. So I'm going to move on to agenda item number 9, which we'll still be talking to Tammy, but that's the treasurer's report.
Okay, I'll go through this rather quickly too. So at September 30th, cash and investments, our directed funds were at 210 million, and the average rate of return on those funds was 0.13%. The trustee directed funds were at about 68 million with an average rate of return of about 0.8%. Just to give you an idea on investments and what we invest in for our agency bonds that we purchased. In September, we purchased some and they were at about 0.2%. In November, slightly lower at 0.17%. So in November, we did make a purchase of about 18 million in investment. We're trying to rebuild our 3-year laddered portfolio. So we will be doing that as we can over the next several months. And then I want to give a quick update on the fuel hedge update too. We at September 30th, we were down by about 270,000 gallons in fuel purchased. And so what that meant was we were under budget about 1.3 million, But when you take into account the hedge of 700,000, that really only gave us a $700,000 savings. So we had some realized losses on the fuel hedge of approximately 700,000.
Thanks, Tammy. Any questions for Tammy? All right, well, we'll turn it over to Greg Smith on agenda item number 10, which is the procurement report.
Yeah, first quarter 2021 non-competitive procurements totaled 7.8 million, or approximately 23% of total purchase order commitment volume of 33 million. The rolling 12-month non-competitive procurements totaled 22 million, or approximately 14.5% of total purchase order commitments volume of 152 million. Most of that is caused by purchases of our large software to run the enterprise.
Thanks, Greg. Does anyone have any questions for Greg about agenda item number 10? All right, well, let's move on to agenda item number 11, and that's the pension valuations update. Chuck, could you walk us through this, please?
Thank you, Commissioner Zimmerman. Good morning, everyone. We have our pension valuations for fiscal year 2020. As of June 1, the funded ratio in the salaried pension plan was 85.6%, and our unfunded liability was 13.6 million. As of April 1, 2020, the funded ratio for the IBEW pension plan was 96.4%, and the unfunded liability was $221,000. And as of April 1, 2020, the funded ratio for Local 788 ATU pension plan was 67.4%, and the unfunded liability was 69.4 million. I'll be happy to provide you any other additional information or answer any questions that you may have at this time. Yes.
I have one real quick. So I'm looking at these funded statuses and particularly on the salaried pension and the 788. What is the trajectory you think of those two funds? You know, specifically the 788 looks to be in worse status with 67.4. What's the trajectory? Sort of what's the funded status? Are those red? Are those early red? And then I guess just finally, what's the issue? Is it kind of are they upside down on actives versus retirees? Is that what's driving some of the funding status? Just so we can get ahead of this, because especially that 67.4 number and even the 85, isn't great. So
yeah. Very, very good questions, Commissioner. So in general, our salary plan hovers around that. Last year, it was 85.3. So that's kind of where it is, okay? I think rather than that being considered a red, I think you should consider that IBEW is a solid black, okay? A couple of years ago, we made an agreement with IBEW to bring their pension plan to 100% funded and keep it around that level. And we did that, and we're doing that. Now, 788 is a whole different situation. And that is where we have, for example, we have 1,300 active participants, but we have over 1,100 retirees. So it's a situation where the active participants are funding the retirement payments for the retirees. So it's a tough situation. It's a mature plan. Our issue there in fixing it is reaching some type of agreement with 7088 at the union bargaining table to do something about it. We tried that for the last several negotiation periods, and we have not succeeded in what the company has done in the last 10 years is try to slowly migrate, well, not slowly, intentionally migrate from our defined benefit plans to our defined contribution plans. We've done that with everybody at 788. Everybody's in 401k plan in some manner other than our 788 employees.
And is that 67.4? What I've been hearing previous years. Is it falling precipitously, or has it been hanging around? Because I've practiced in this area a little bit, and I've seen before it can go from 67 to 30% pretty quick. So how's that looking?
Actually, it went up from last year.
Okay.
Last year it was 67.1. In 18, it was 65.6, but a lot of that has to do with investment income.
Okay. Well, thank you for your answers. They were thorough and right on the topic. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good questions. The 67% is definitely a red flag, and hopefully things continue to trend in the right direction. But is there, just for the kind of the quick update today, is there any other questions for Chuck Stewart on this topic? All right, hearing none. Again, this is informational only, not many votes today. I'll turn it over to Chuck again on agenda item number 12, and that's going to be our 401k plan audit update.
Commissioners, I'm presenting to you today the audit of the 401k plan as of December 31, 2019. It was audited by UHY. This report has been presented to the Salary Pension Committee and has been approved. The assets in the 401k plan as of 12/31/19 were $65.7 million. Again, the 401k is not open to all of our employees. Other than 788, each other division has some participation in the plan. As of September, we had 860 employees participating in the plan, which is about 61% of the eligible employees. The average deferral for these employees was about 7.8%, which is pretty good. And the average account balance was over $81,000. Is there any other additional information I can provide?
Any questions? Well, thank you so much. I'm going to move on to agenda item number 13, and that is the President and CEO report from Talby.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your time today. Obviously, we're moving through things quickly with these double meetings, but I want you all to know that we're very cognizant of not only informational needs, but also on being brief. So thank you for your patience. But first of all, I want to really welcome the addition of Crystal Messner. And look, I want to just personally thank this board. One of the things that is critical for us moving this company in the direction that it is that we have professional people in roles, albeit with arm's length and independence, that help us get better at what we're doing. Right off the bat, Crystal has grabbed her team and has worked with us from a managerial side to make things better. And those are the kind of people that we need in this organization. And I just want to thank this board, and I want to commend Crystal, not only with her professionalism, but her ability to get in on difficult situations and try to be sure that we're looking at this honestly. Also, along with that, I'd really ask for your continued support of our new CFO, Tammy Fulbright. Obviously, we're moving through several of those audits and getting better and stronger at where we are on accounting. And I've asked Tammy to step up in that conjunction, and we're moving very quickly along that line. I have asked, as any good, healthy organization would, for some other EVP support associated with rebuilding pieces of accounting. I've already mentioned Crystal, but I also asked Chuck's help. As many of you may know, Chuck is also a CPA and has that professional training. And so as an organization, what we want to do is look to other talent when we want to rebuild pieces that are in need of renovation. And that's where we're going. So I've not only gotten Chuck's support there, but also IAD has been instrumental in taking a look at, what we need to do in accounting. So it's kind of a team atmosphere. I'm very excited about that, but I do appreciate your patience. Because of course, one of the things that we're moving into immediately is budget season. We are moving into FY22. Feels even a little strange to say numbers like that, but that is where we are. We are targeting, and I know that Jessica and her team are working very closely with Tammy right now at targeting to have at least draft budgets ready in the first week of February. And that'll greenlight my process for starting to individually meet with the electeds about where we are and be sure that the budget is responsive to policy. In conjunction with that, also, there will be a presentation to each of the electeds and the funders, including city, county, and St. Clair County, on what our plan is with the CRISA funding. Again, I hinted earlier that the second, essentially CRISA is, you could say, CARES 2. And that number right now checks out to a funding number of right around $68 million. Please remember that there is a rough amount that has to go directly to Madison County Transit as they are part of the urban formula. And so we are in the midst of doing that right now. And I will be preparing a report in conjunction with Tammy about, where are we and how are we projecting that those numbers in the future. Essentially, what we're doing is we are staying close to that fundamental piece of, as we are seeing a reduction in tax revenue, especially on the Missouri side, plug our CARES and / CRISA funding to make up for that delta so that we are stabilizing the system. Obviously, it means that there's some revision then to how we are handling Illinois because Illinois is funded so differently. So we'll use the same kind of calculation and put aside Illinois allocation for instance, St. Clair County. And I'll be reviewing that obviously with not only the district, but obviously with Ken Sharkey, the district manager. So I just want to make you aware that we are moving through this. I want to thank the board for your support and your support in repopulating and getting new talent in the door so that we can start being aggressive and moving on things. And that concludes my president's report. Thank you.
Thanks, Talby. Any questions for Talby on any of those issues? Talby, any unscheduled business we missed?
No, sir.
No, sir. Myra, could you call dates for future meetings, please?
Yes, the next Board of Commissioners meeting is scheduled for Friday, February 19th at 8:30 a.m. The next Audit, Finance, and Administration Committee meeting is scheduled for Friday, March 19th at 8:30 a.m. And the next Operations Committee meeting is scheduled for Friday, March 19th at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you. At this point, I need a motion that this committee go into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal, confidential, or privileged matters as permitted under Bi-State Development Board Policy, Chapter 10, Section 10.080 D1 Legal, D3 Personnel, and D10 Audit.
Make the motion. I'll second.
Okay.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gladney,
Yes.
Commissioner Beach,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Windmiller,
Aye.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Costello,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Yes.
and Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
The motion passed.
We're ready, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now reconvene this committee meeting to open session. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 16th, 2020 executive session of the combined OPS and AFA committee meeting as a closed record?
So moved.
Second. Sorry.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Beach,
Yes.
Commissioner Costello,
Aye.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Winmiller,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Gladney,
Aye.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
The motion passed.
If there's no further business, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, meeting is adjourned. I don't think we need a vote.
We are now ready. Thanks.
Thank you, Brenda. I'd like to call the Operations Committee meeting to order Friday, January 22nd, 2021 at 9:34. Myra, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Winmiller,
Present.
Commissioner Cox,
Here.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Beach,
Here.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Here.
Commissioner Simmons,
Here.
Commissioner Costello, Commissioner Johnson,
He posted in the chat that he had to step out. I don't know if you saw that.
and Commissioner Gladney.
Here.
Thank you, Myra. Are there any speaker cards for today's meeting?
No, no speaker cards were submitted.
Thank you. Agenda item 4 is the approval of the minutes of the October 16th, 2020 combined OPS AFA committee meeting, the open meeting. A motion is needed to approve. First of all, are there any changes? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Thank you. Commissioner Gladney abstains.
Noted.
Item number 5, contract modifications. Contract with WSP USA, the Metrolink station enhancements. Jessica and Chris, can you please comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. I've asked Chris Paler to present this contract modification this morning.
Thank you, Jessica. Good morning. If you recall from our discussions at our previous meeting, WSP was hired to come up with concepts and provide design services for modification to 5 stations along the Metrolink alignment, Laclede's Landing, Convention Center, 8th and Pine, Forest Park to Bolivar, and Delmar. When they came up with their concepts, we liked a number of them, and based on that, the scope of their services increased significantly. Basically, the design concepts we decided to move forward with are just going to be much more expensive than we had initially interpreted or expected as we entered into their original contract. So at the last meeting, we gave them some more time. And I mentioned at that time that we'd be bringing to you another briefing paper asking for additional cost for design services. As these services are moving forward, we're also going through the capital budgeting process. So of these 5 stations, we're not going to be able to perform the construction with our current capital budget on these 5 stations immediately. We're taking in projects now for the capital budget. So what we'd like to do with this contract is authorize and requesting authorization to increase the contract value with WSP by $140,000, and that will allow them to take all 5 of these projects to what we're calling the advanced conceptual engineering phase. So it will get us farther enough into engineering to have a good handle on what the final project's going to be, and more specifically such that they can develop good cost estimates that we can be confident moving forward. At the same time, we'll be developing the capital budgeting process, and this will all occur over the next few months. So we'll know which of the 5 projects will fit best and at what time into our budget over the next few years. And at that point, we can move forward and have a plan to enter into final design and construction for each of these 5 projects. So again, the request is to increase the ceiling for WSP's contract by $140,000 at this time to take us through advanced conceptual engineering for the 5 stations. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Chair, if I can make one comment as well. And that's simply moving, as we move into what are new capital planning issues, it's critical that we have projects that are ready under the shelf should we go for additional federal funding. Does look like that is a possibility. So it is good for us to already have some of these designs completed and rolled out. So the real value of getting in front of some of the designing here is so that we have projects off the shelf that may be ready should there, for instance, be stimulus programs through FTA. So it's just critical in that we line these things up. That's the extent of my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Talby. Are there questions or comments from the commissioners? I just want to say one thing. First of all, I'm so happy that there's a possibility that we are going to be in advanced engineering for these 5 stations. I know we probably will not be able to construct the renovation on all 5, but that we have them shovel ready is great. Just to clarify, the funding, the $140,000 is coming from an FTA grant and Prop M funds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Let's move on to item number 6, Metro operators, TSM, and public safety uniforms. Jessica, can you talk to us about this, please?
Sure. The uniforms are, of course, a subject that is near and dear to the hearts of our frontline team members. I'm going to ask Greg Smith to provide an update for you on this procurement.
Good morning. We are presenting to the Operations Committee for discussion and referral to the Board of Commissioners a request to authorize the President and CEO to award contract 20-RFP-1067442DR Metro operators, TSM, and public safety uniforms for Metro Bus, Metro Van, Metrolink, transit service managers, and public safety divisions. The background, Metro currently employs approximately 1,163 operators, which consist of 876 Metro bus operators, 180 Metro van operators, and 107 Metrolink light rail operators. All uniform purchases on this contract are made by the employees via their uniform allowance per contract terms that vary by job range, varying from $400 to $1,000 per year per employee. The uniform allowance is increased annually by $15. The Metro Bus and Metrolink operators currently receive an allowance of $550, and Metro Van operators receive an allowance of $460. On March 16, 2020, Bi-State issued a request for proposal 20 RFP 10-106-742 to obtain a qualified vendor capable of servicing its uniform requirements for Metro Bus, Metro Van, Call Ride, Metrolink operators, as well as our public safety and transit service managers and divisions. The contract consists of 3 base years and 2 option years. A disadvantaged business enterprise DBE goal was not recommended for this project. In response to the solicitations, a total of 4 proposals were received. Leon Uniform Company, Galls, Blue Sky Apparel and Promotions, and UniFirst Corporation. All 4 proposals were received and forwarded to the evaluation team, which consisted of individuals within Metro Bus, Metro Van, and Metrolink operations, public safety, and transit service manager division. The proposals were scored in accordance with the evaluation requirements specified in the solicitation package. After completion of the individual and consensus technical scores, all 4 firms were invited to participate in an oral presentation to further confirm their capabilities and to present samples of their firm's garments and accessories. In reviewing the cost proposals, UniFirst did not provide a cost for several items. Clarifications were requested and confirmed that they could not provide these items. Therefore, the proposals submitted by UniFirst did not receive any further consideration. The table below is the overall results representing the consensus technical score and cost scores combined. And as a result, Leon Uniform Company is the highest ranking firm. Past spend has been approximately $800,000 per year, but the new contract has expanded coverage. Therefore, we anticipate the annual spend to be approximately $1 million per year. Management recommends that Operations Committee approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners for approval the request that the President and CEO enter into a 5-year contract with the highest ranking firm, Leon Uniform Company, whose proposal is most advantaged to Bi-State with price and other factors considered in the not to exceed amount of $5 million. The contract is funded 100% through operational funds. Are there any questions?
Questions on the uniforms? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Item number 7 is a Metrolink downtown tunnel repair design contract modification. And again, I would ask Jessica and Chris for comments.
Thank you. Majeski and Masters was hired to perform design and construction phase services for repairs to the downtown tunnel. As they have performed many of their inspections as part of their design services, they've uncovered a number of other areas that require repairs throughout the downtown tunnel, specifically around the stadium station, as well as many other areas. In general, the downtown tunnel is in very good condition. However, it's very old. And whenever we get a chance to make the repairs, we try and address as many as we can while we're in there. So I think it makes good sense to have them perform the design services for these additional repairs. This contract modification will also include additional construction inspection services. This project is scheduled to go out to bid in a few months in May. Based on our workload for the current engineering staff, we have a lot of other projects going on at that time. So we want to make Majeski and Master staff available to help us with the construction inspection if they are needed. Again, a lot of this work is also going to be at night and on weekends. So it's often a challenge to staff these type of projects. So again, this briefing paper requests an additional $379,405 for the Majeski and Masters contract for the downtown tunnel repairs. Any questions?
Chris, does it add any time to the?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it also extends the contract. Thank you. Out to the end of December, end of the year 2023, which is when we expect the construction to be complete. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm glad this is getting done. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Simmons, so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Operations report. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped 8, which is a contract award, the on-call public relations and media services. Ted Zimmerman, please.
Good morning, commissioners. This past fall, Bi-State Development issued a request for proposals for on-call media and public relations services from professional public relations and media firms that have successful histories of providing support to high-profile organizations, especially in the areas of development and implementation of proactive public relations, media strategies, and media monitoring. We received 6 proposals, which were reviewed for their technical skills and abilities, as well as cost. Hauser Group received the highest overall score. Management recommends that the Operations Committee approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners for approval and requests the President and CEO enter into a 5-year contract, 3 base years with the ability to exercise 2 option years, to Hauser Group, whose proposal is most advantageous to Bi-State Development, with a not to exceed amount of $846,000. Are there any questions?
I might mention that I have experience with Julie Hauser and her team over the years. I've not talked or spoken with her or seen her in a couple of years, but she's been involved with a lot of one-off projects for us, media events with Mid-America Airport and some other events, and found her and her staff to be extremely professional and timely and proactive. Just a comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Beach. Any other comments? Ted, I just have a question actually. So in addition to the staffing that your office provides for public relations and marketing and communications, this Hauser Group would be, can you give me just a little idea what their scope of activities would be?
Sure. So what we try to do within Bi-State Development is use professional services from the perspective of extending our reach. So for instance, because Julie and her team have extensive knowledge within the media area, it helps to extend our time, and they're able to actually, when we have stories, media ideas that we want to be proactive about, they're very much on the forefront of going out, contacting those media services for us and moving those through. The presentation that I did this past week, last Friday for security, Hauser Group was very much an influence and a part of the process to help us in that success as well. So just to kind of give you an example of what you're seeing is a part of what they help us to do. And it really takes a burden off of us that we would have to hire additional staff to do. So it's a great way to do that.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I've also had experience with Hauser Group. I think they're great. They do a good job. They also do a good job when it comes to crisis communication, which is always helpful to have. So any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve?
Beach moves.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. That concludes the voting portion of the meeting. We will now move on to, I'm sorry, I just lost my screen. The operations report from Jessica.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly from me. So I'm trying to manage our time here. So I did ask Jessica in this portion of ops to concentrate on the introduction of some of the capital lists. So we'll move very quickly over that and trying to concentrate our time so that, and I really appreciate your patience with these long meetings. And I will not be giving any comments for 10 under the President and CEO's report. And in the interest of time to try to concentrate on this specific area. So with that, thank you. Jessica, if you will.
Good morning, commissioners, again, and thank you for staying with us here through the 7th inning stretch. We do appreciate your time. We provided a detailed report to you in your packet on our capital programs. And so today, my objective is just to give you a high-level overview of our capital process, our approach, because some of that has changed, including our focus, our goals, and our team composition. I'll hit some of the high notes of our ongoing and planned capital projects. And I've asked staff, including Chris Paler and Darren Curry, to join us on this discussion, and the 3 of us can answer any questions that you may have regarding our capital program process or its component projects. It's got a lot of screens going here. Bear with me. Here we go. So Our capital program goals follow 4 primary objectives, and they roll right up to our bi-state strategic plan and also integrate very well with our ongoing operating programs. Our first goal of our capital program is to focus on our customers and ensure that we are delivering consistently reliable and excellent customer experiences. And that includes everything from the way we maintain our revenue vehicles to the kinds of projects that we plan that are in view of the customer. We manage our transit assets, and that's everything from our most expensive components like our light rail vehicles to our equipment and parts with a focus on transit asset management. And that is our philosophy for acquiring, operating, maintaining, upgrading our transit assets to directly support our mission of providing safe and reliable transportation and maximizing the public's investment in our system. We are also committed to providing a safer and more secure metro transit system. And over the last year and in the coming years, we've introduced a number of projects in our capital program that are intended to do just that. And finally, as ever, we are focused on meeting the needs of our customers and our stakeholders, engaging them in the capital program development process, empowering our teams to deliver programs, and holding them accountable for all of our program results. I'll give you an overview of our capital program for FY 21 through 23. We have I'm sorry, I think I advanced too far. We have a 3-year rolling capital program for FY 21 through 23. That program totals about $814.7 million. We update this program each year in consultation with our key stakeholders and staff. We're in the process, as Chris and Talby mentioned earlier, of updating our FY 22 through 24 program. Our capital projects fall into 2 primary categories. They're recurring programs like our vehicle replacement, and a portion of our capital funding is eligible for transit system maintenance, including support of our vehicle maintenance program. We also have non-recurring expenditures, and that consists of much of what you as a board see for approval. This includes enhancements to our system, modifications, the introduction of new technology, and any system expansion. I want to give you an overview of just a few of the programs that we have and an update. Chris mentioned our Metrolink station redesign project, and I look forward to nearing the end of conceptual design. Now we're working right now to try and secure funding for the construction of those stations. We anticipate that next month, we will submit a Surface Transportation Program or STP application to East West Gateway Council of Governments for construction and final design of enhancements at our Forest Park to Bolivar Metrolink stations. The other 4 stations will be constructed over time, but we are poised to have those projects shovel ready in the event we have additional funding opportunities, perhaps through forthcoming stimulus programs. We're very excited about that, and we're keeping our thumb on the pulse of federal capital funding coming out of the new administration. We have an RFP on the street for fare collection right now. We gave you a detailed briefing on fare collection back in the fall. We'll be coming back to you in the spring with a request to approve a procurement. This will be for back-end software and technology, and then the initial hardware components of our new fare collection system, including validators. One of our most customer-centric projects that I'm very excited about is our community mobility hubs. We were fortunate to receive federal grant funding to begin constructing enhanced transfer points on street at some of the major intersections served by our Metrobus system. Think of this as a capital complement to our frequent network that we introduced with Metro Reimagine. We'll begin design of those community mobility hubs later this summer. Our bus stop signage project is well underway. We're about 75% complete right now. We expect to complete the entire project this spring. We'll be coming back to this board with an extension of that project with the Harlan Company so that we can complete installation of all of our bus stops. We're getting great customer feedback, by the way, on the new stops, and we're seeing an increase in utilization of things like our interactive voice response because customers are now aware of that information. It is posted right on the sign in full view. With respect to safety and security, we talked with you in the fall and summer about our CCTV program, which is an incredibly important component of creating a safer and more secure metro. We are delivering a comprehensive CCTV system update. This commission already approved the upgrade and replacement of all of our mobile cameras. That effort is underway now, and we anticipate having those cameras completed in 2022. Staff is working right now on an interdisciplinary working group to evaluate the needs and condition of our fixed cameras. So those are the cameras at our stations and transit centers and operating facilities. We anticipate engaging assistance in helping us design that program. So you'll be hearing more about fixed CCTV over the course of the year. We've also embarked on a number of smaller projects that are going to help us with the infrastructure, including fiber and network, to support our expanded CCTV program. With respect to crime prevention through environmental design, all of our station enhancements, including some projects that we have recently accomplished and are underway at our bus transit centers, are focused on using environmental design to create safer and more secure facilities. You'll see that in the design of each of those 5 Metrolink stations and projects that we have planned for the upcoming cycle. And finally, some of our biggest projects are system maintenance and modernization. A great deal of our capital resources are used to support our fleet replacement programs, including our revenue vehicles. Our biggest effort underway right now is the replacement of our light rail vehicles. This is a major undertaking, and in fact, it's our first light rail vehicle replacement project since Metrolink opened in 1993. After conducting a detailed fleet assessment with an independent party, we developed a fleet replacement strategy for those vehicles for each of our 4 series of light rail vehicles. We're working now on a scope of performance in which we'll engage external assistance in helping us to complete the specifications for our light rail vehicle replacement. We anticipate completing those specifications next year, and we hope to begin receiving our first new light rail vehicles in 2024 through 2026. They would be replaced in series over time. This commission will hear more about our light rail vehicle program as we move forward. In our bus replacement program, I think the biggest project we have right now is our electric bus program. We're very excited about this. We have already received all of our 60-foot electric buses. Those 14 buses are at Brentwood Metro Bus Facility right now. We're nearing completion of the necessary charging infrastructure at the Brentwood Garage, and we're working on construction right now at our Broadway and Taylor Transit Center. At that location, we'll have inductive charging, so those articulated buses can top off their battery throughout the course of their daily duty cycle. Staff training, both for mechanics and operators, is underway right now, and we look forward to putting our first electric vehicles in service this spring. We also expect to receive 4 40-foot electric vehicles produced by Gillig later this spring. Those vehicles were delayed in association with the pandemic. Now, much of our capital program also focuses on maintaining our Metrolink system. With a fixed guideway system, we have a tremendous amount of maintenance activity that has to occur on our track, signals, and overhead catenary systems. We also have a number of major structural projects underway. You heard from Chris Paler earlier about Union Station. Metrolink is nearing 30 years of age for the original alignment, and much of that alignment was built in late 19th and early 20th century structures and tunnels. And so it is essential that we complete these repair projects so that we can consistently maintain safe operations. And finally, you've heard from us about 2 major projects underway to expand the reach of the Metro Transit system. Metro is working to support the St. Clair County Transit District in their design and construction of the Mid-America Airport extension. This is our first extension of Metrolink since 2006. And this 5.5-mile project would reach from Shallow Scott Station to Mid-America. It includes 3 miles of single track and 2.2 miles of double track. We're in design right now. We anticipate that will be complete late next year, with construction completed in 2024. And again, Metro's role in this effort is to provide design and operational support. And we have talked extensively today and on last week about the North Side, South Side Corridor Technological Alternatives Analysis. So I'll close there, and I would like to open up the floor to any questions from the Commission about our capital programs.
I'll ask one. You mentioned the fare collection, and I just, in some of the, new technological pieces with that, and I read in the briefing materials it's included, but I just wanted to highlight, for folks that don't have access to cell phones and some of the newer technology, it's still going to be emphasized that folks will be able to pay fares the old-fashioned way, and they'll have that access. Is that still a key component?
Absolutely. So both for fare collection and for trip planning, including access to demand responsive service, Commissioner Gladney, obtaining access for customers who don't have access to mobile devices or bank accounts remains a key component of those programs. For the foreseeable future, we're going to continue to accept cash as fare on Colorado Metrobus and Metrolink. We gave this board a detailed briefing about the future of fare collection this past fall. I'd be happy to share that with you as backdrop for some of the upcoming procurements and decisions that this commission will make over the course of the next year.
Great. I would love that. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Gladney. Just want to point out to everyone that in your board book, there's a lot more detail about all of this. I know it's a lot to read, but if we come prepared to the meetings, it cuts down substantially on the amount of time we need to spend having staff go over the details. So I encourage everyone to make sure to read your board books.
I have a question for Jessica.
Yes, Commissioner.
Two things. Projects on St. Clair County, the bus shelter project, are we having any movement on that? And then on the elevator projects that we've had quite often, is there anything moving on those projects?
Yeah, absolutely. And Commissioner Simmons, we gave a detailed update to St. Clair County Transit District staff January 7th and I think November 23rd about capital projects. And I'd be happy to share that most recent update with you that includes progress on the bus shelter project. So I'll make a note of that. And then with respect to the East Riverfront elevator, for all of the commission, the East Riverfront elevators, as well as our downtown elevators, were recently rehabbed. Following the rehab, we had trouble with reliability at the East Riverfront elevators in particular. We discovered that there's a heater built in to keep the temperature above a certain level to allow the pneumatic equipment to function. There was a design flaw in that the heater was overbuilt, so it was overheating and setting off the fire alarm and causing the elevator out of service. We've identified that, and we're working with the contractor now to correct that error. We've got an interim fix in place right now. Darren and Curry and his team are on top of that repair. And we've also made some structural changes within our organization and project management approach to prevent that very design flaw from happening in the future.
Is there any consideration to recoup the loss of that project being done, as far as we paid to have that done, fixed properly? Are we pursuing any damages for that?
Darren, are you able to address that? I'm not sure if we've determined whether we can do that yet.
So Commissioner Simmons, as you and I had discussed, we had an issue with the cylinder or ram part of one of the elevators. We have communicated with the contractor. They acknowledged that they were at fault, that they did in fact improperly replace the sleeve. So what we're going to do is we're working out details with them now on having the cylinder replaced. And what we're trying to coordinate is when we do the staircase project, what I'm hoping to do is tie that together so we don't have multiple things occurring at the East Riverfront. So we'll take advantage of the staircase project to get the cylinder replaced on the elevator at that time. But I certainly can keep you posted on that.
Very good. I want to thank you for your response each time I've had to call you. You've been right on it. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Hearing none, thank you, Jessica. And as I said, there's an additional detail in the board book. I believe, Talby, you said that you have no report for us.
I do not. I just only wanted to say thank you for this introduction to capital. Remember, in the background of all this, we're still working with, of course, all of our individual funders. We're going through briefings with, for instance, St. Louis County and the city and going through all of that. So it is vetted in addition, and obviously we'll be making adjustments associated with what our partners are looking for. Very excited about this process, in particular about the LRVs. And I think it gives us an opportunity to provide really what is a new product, along with hopefully our recovery from the pandemic in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any unscheduled business from the commissioners or from Talby? Hearing none, can we have the future dates, meeting dates, please, Myra?
Yes, the next Board of Commissioners meeting will be held on Friday, February 19th at 8:30 a.m. The next Audit Finance Administration Committee meeting will be held on March 19th at 8:30 a.m. And the next Operations Committee meeting will be held on Friday, March 19th at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you. I need a motion that this committee go into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal, confidential, or privileged matters as permitted under Bi-State Development Board Policy, Chapter 10, Section 10.080, D1 Legal, and D2 Real Estate.
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We need a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gladney,
Yes.
Commissioner Beach,
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Windmiller,
Aye.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Thank you. We are now adjourned to executive session.
We're ready.
Thank you. The Operations Committee open meeting has reconvened. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 16th, 2020 executive session of combined OPS and AFA committee meeting as a closed record?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beach,
Yes.
Commissioner Windmiller,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gladney,
Abstain.
Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve that 3158 Purcell Road, Ferguson, Missouri, B1 declared as incidental non-transit use property and proposed for development as excess property? 2, confirmed for conveyance via lease, sale, joint development, buyout, or other alternative acceptable to BSD and the FTA. And 3, authorize BSD's president and CEO to finalize and execute agreements in support of this project as presented.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Great. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Windmiller,
Aye.
Commissioner Beach,
Yes.
Commissioner Gladney,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Thank you. A motion is needed to adjourn if there's no further business. Hearing none.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you very much. Good meeting. We did everything in less than 2 hours.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you all in a month or so.